live.
I was getting ready to ask, are we live?
Nah, not yet. Not yet. When I click this on, it's gonna take it a couple of seconds, and then okay, it's live now. But I don't know when we'll see it, so just be prepared. Okay. No, it's not yet. It shows me live, but it's not showing up. Okay, there it is. So, good evening, everyone. I want to thank you for joining JD's Veranda. We have 4 distinguished young ladies who served in the military, and I'm going to introduce each one of them, and then they're going to come back and give a little bit about themselves.
Ooh.
First person, why you say, "Ooh, Rita"? The first person that I'm going to introduce is going to be Dr. Sylvia Maddox. She was in the Army. The rank was E5. She only served for 10 years, but hey, that was some 10 hard years I know from being stationed with her. One of the memorable things that she did was she received the Army Commendation Medal for implementing and maintaining the MARC system for all y'all personnel people. That's modern Army record keeping system. So, hey, I thank sis for all she did, because hey, you don't piss off S1, because you get a lot of stuff messed up. Next, we're going to introduce Kathy, is what she preferred to be to go by. Kathy was in the Army as well. She served for 20 years. And did we lose Sylvia?
I think we did.
Okay. I know she was having technical issues previously. But to jump back on track, Kathy was in the military, in the Army for 20 years. And what's interesting about Kathy is one of the most memorable things that she did was she was in charge of providing all of the medical supplies during both of President Obama's inauguration. So, hey, that's something to be a female did that. A female did that. So, hey, women in the Army.
Bravo.
Next, we're gonna introduce Andrea Borrego. She was in the Army as well. Her rank was a staff sergeant. She was medically separated. She did 15 years. Hold on, let me ask Sylvia back. You back, sis?
Yeah, my something was going on with the internet. It said it needed to reconnect.
Okay, thanks. Andrea was served 15 years, 8 months, and the notable thing about Miss Andrea was in 2023, she was inducted into the Military Basketball Hall of Fame. Yay!
Okay. Oh, bravo.
And finally, we have Miss Rita Reeves. She was in the Army as well, and she's retired First Sergeant E8, and she did 23 years, 9 months, and 20 days in the Army. And what's funny about that is, Rita, whenever people ask me, well, how long did you do? I always tell them, I don't tell them 23 years, but I tell them 21 years, 4 months, and 2 days. That's the first thing for all of you people that are not retired or, did not serve in the military, that's one of the first things you look at on your DD-214 is the time that you served. And her accomplishments is she was the MedCom Equal Opportunity Advisor, and she has not 1, not 2, but 3 master's degrees. So thank you, ladies, for joining. So we're going to turn it over to Sylvia. I gave everybody an introduction, but what I want you to do is tell us who Sylvia is and give us a little bit of your military journey before we get into the actual podcast.
Okay, so I'm gonna just think or guess that initially you just gave the introduction I sent to you, right?
Yes.
So I am Sylvia Maddox. I spent 10 years active duty, did basic training in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, AIT, what we call AIT, Advanced Individual Training, Fort Ben Harrison, Indiana, first duty station back Kreuznach, Germany. BK, second duty station, Fort Carson, Colorado. From there, I went to Korea. I was stationed in Uijeongbu at Camp Red Cloud.
Fight.
Um, came back from Red Cloud to Fort Stewart, Georgia, spent about a month there, and then was detached to Hunter Airfield. While at Hunter Airfield, I did a deployment to Guantanamo Bay, stayed there for 6 months, supporting all of the armed forces as we worked with the Haitian Cuban kind of immigration migration to the United States. So enjoyed my time in the military. Would have probably done 20, but life happened, right? Kids came along, husband came along, all of those things. And at that point in time, it was the best option for me to stop at that point. Currently, I serve as Dean of Students at Spelman College. I enjoy what I do. I have a passion for the students, especially first generation college students. I've been at Spelman now 21 years. In that time, I've earned two of my degrees, my master's, and the one that I am most proud of, my doctoral degree, which I earned at the Jackson State University. So that's a little bit.
Thank you for that introduction, Sylvia. So next we're going to go with Kathy. So as I stated earlier, tell us who Kathy is and some of your journey through the military.
Oh, Lord. So Kathy Cooper, and like JD said, 20 years in the Army. I actually have two different times in the military. I first came in 1996, the first time, and I was going to be an MP, chose to be an MP. Like Sylvia, life happened. My grandfather passed away in a really close time frame, so I got out and then chose to come back. And I wanted nothing to do with gate guard and any of that. So I said, give me something in the medical field, but I don't want to deal with patients. I don't want to see blood. And they said, we got it, medical supply. And I said, great, sign me up. And that's what I did. And I loved what I did. Phenomenal assignments from, Hawaii, obviously, where I know a lot of the people here, and Korea twice. I was in the DC metro area for almost 10 years. I was the NCOIC of the power projection platform out at Fort Dix during both of the surges, responsible for processing hundreds of thousands of troops as they were deploying and redeploying. And then, like I said, like JD said, responsible for all of the logistical support with both of President Obama's inaugurations. And I ended my career as the NCOIC over in Korea. Went to Korea twice. I loved it. I'd actually still be there if it wasn't for my daughter. She wanted to come back, wanted to come to Texas, and that's where we stayed, and that's where I retired at. And since getting out, I decided I still wanted to continue serving military and veterans, and so I got my real estate license, and that's what I do. And then I also got technically 3 degrees. I got my associates, my bachelor's, and my master's at Wayland Baptist University. So, go Pioneers. And yeah, that's it. So.
Well, thank you, Kathy, for joining. And so I pose that question to you, Miss Andrea Borrego. Who is Andrea? And give us some of your things throughout your journey in the military.
Hi, I'm Andrea Borrego. I have a couple of things that went on in my life. I went to college first of all. I got a degree in sociology from Appalachian State University. I was also a college athlete, played basketball there for almost 5 years, got redshirted my freshman year. But then after that, I went overseas to play basketball in Barcelona, Spain for a year, semi-pro, and came back because my mom got ill. And then I joined the military in 99. And when I joined the military in 99, it was mainly one, to pay off student loans, two, just to get away from the area I was in, because I grew up in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Not much there, very bad economy. And I just wanted better for myself. So the military was that for me. Once I got in the military, I got really involved in, first, let me tell you this. I went into the military as a operating room tech, and I got reclassed because I passed out during mock surgery and AIT. So they were like, oh, no, can't have that.
Exactly.
We're going to keep you in the medical field, so we're going to put you in medical supply. So we were like, okay, I was like, okay, no problem, long as I don't have to drive trucks anywhere, I'm good, right? So not knocking the truck drivers. They were our best friends, but went through AIT, got stationed in Hawaii. Got stationed in Fort Irwin for my first duty station.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry.
And
Wow.
believe it or not, it was the Army's best kept secret. A lot of
It
people
is,
don't
really.
know that.
It really
is. I learned a lot there. I became very much ingrained in Army medical logistics, supporting people. Is what made me love logistics so much. Then after leaving Fort Irwin, I went to Hawaii, where that was one of the best duty stations I had in my whole career. I went from E4 to E5 there, was mentored by one of the best NCOs in the entire Army, Michelle Davies.
That's right.
Big ups to Michelle Davies.
Believe
Believe it or not, that's your wife. Believe it or not, that woman was my NCO in 3 of my duty stations.
Wow.
Believe it or not.
She's phenomenal.
And I was really blessed in having a mentor like that. Went from Hawaii, where I got an MSM as an E5 because of that woman's guidance.
Right.
Left there and went to Fort Irwin, California, where I was at William Beaumont. That was a good duty assignment, but then I got pulled to 31st to deploy in Michelle Davies' spot, which she mentored me into deployment. Wonderful assignment. Was one of the first logisticians to bring demos downrange. So me and Michelle did that simultaneously while she was back in the rear and I was in theater. So me and her have done some great work in this Army together.
Wow. She never said that.
Yeah, one of the first. We were the first. And then from Fort Bliss, we went to USAMA, me and Michelle. Were entered USAMA together, where USAMA is one of the most prestigious schools in the medical logistics field. So the fact that I even got accepted was pretty much an honor. And we learned so much, traveled the world, saw different things together, and I'll never forget that point. But from there, I went to Fort Hood, where it all went bad. No, seriously, it all went bad. It all went bad because my husband was involved in the mass shooting at Fort Hood.
Oh, wow.
And the second one, not the first one, the second one. And when that happened, I decided that was enough Army for me. So I decided to go into mental health, talk to them, and say, hey, it's time for me to go. You know, I was already having issues with bad knees, things of that nature, and other things that we'll talk about later, height and weight standards, things of that nature that you go through as a woman that I was dealing with. So it was time for me to exit the Army. I retired. I got out in 2015, in June of 2015. I'm still fighting for my retirement till this day.
Mhm.
And but now since then, my husband's been so wonderful to support me and running my own businesses.
Mhm.
We travel the world. We see
Mhm.
different places. I work from home. We own a company called Mastodon Logistics where we do government contracting, and we help businesses start their own business from ground up. We
That's
get
dope.
them LLC,
Wow.
do all those things. So we're
Fantastic.
still supporting soldiers in our own way.
Yeah.
My husband for that, and it's just what God has put on our hearts to do because we don't have
Right.
children. So
Right.
that's literally our gift to the world. So
Yes.
it's an honor to be on this panel. First of all, you women are some of the people that I very much look up to, my military career and in personal life. So thank you, James, for the invite. Oh, I did get inducted to the Military Basketball Hall of Fame in 2023. So
Well, thank you, Miss Borrego.
thank you.
And
Sorry
last
to be
but
so
not,
long-winded.
no, don't worry about it. You have no idea. Last but not least is Miss Rita Reeves. Rita, so as I asked everyone else, who is Rita? And give me some of the things that you accomplished or went through during your military journey.
Well, I'm Rita Reeves. Thanks for having me here. I'm actually so excited, and it's good to see everybody, ladies. And I'm so proud of you. It's hard to do anything in the military for any amount of time, especially as a woman. And I'm sure we'll get to it. And thanks, JD, for putting this together. This just warms my heart when I heard that this was going to happen. And thanks for inviting me. And I'm long-winded, so let me get to it. I am, and everybody that knows me knows that I'm a talker. So especially when it comes to talking about things in the military, I can go all day. So I'm originally from Flint, Michigan. Rough place, right? I had no intentions on coming in the military. In my days, you had to take the test. Everybody had to take the test. The recruiter started calling, and I said no. The recruiter told me the lady down the street went in, and she was one of those people that stayed in the house all the time. She never came out to play with anything. And I was like, well, shoot, if she can do it, I can do it. I was very competitive in everything I did. And that's how I joined the military. I thanked her publicly for that because the military changed my life. I was one of those smart girls, but I had the money to go to college, but I was one of those smart people. In any case, I joined the military. And believe it or not, my test scores were good. I don't think I really tried to take that test. We just had to take the test. So I ended up picking medical. And he said I can pick any duty station. So I picked California. I ended up at Fort Ord, California. Best place in the entire world.
Really?
Michelle told us all the time.
Oh my God.
NTC Fort Ord?
No,
not NTC, Monterey, California, outside of Monterey, California.
I got you.
Beach Fort Ord, right? Oh my God. Imagine going from Flint to Fort Ord, California. So my basic was at Fort Jackson. Then I went to Fort Ord. Then I went to AIT at Fort Sam. And then I went to Fort Ord. Oh my God. I had the best time ever. All up and down California, had relatives there, this, that, and the other. So I'm a medic. And then I get stationed in a hospital. Then not only that, I don't work the emergency room or nothing. I get stationed in a TMC. Oh my goodness. But at that TMC, I learned everything. As a private, I basically ran the whole TMC, the whole thing, immunizations, the screening, the GYN, the everything, you name it, physical exams. As a private, I ran everything. And back in those days, you could just take up, because NCOs were kind of, well, I ain't gonna talk about all that. I guess we can get into it. But anyway.
That was a different army.
I went from there, from Fort Ord, I went to I changed my MOS. to respiratory therapy because the NCO said, Private Reeves, when you reenlist, you need to reenlist for respiratory therapy. I said, yes, Sergeant. And the great reason he did that is because I used to run in the fast group with the fast group people.
We all did.
No kidding. No kidding. And so I said, yes, Sergeant. I didn't even know how to spell respiratory therapy. So I said, okay. And I changed it and off I go to change my MOS. So now I'm a respiratory therapist at Fort Sam. I leave from there, I go to Germany. When I get to Germany, I'm working in 97 General Hospital. And we had an NCOIC that taught us everything in the world. But he taught us kind of not by the book, but he made us think outside the box so that you can, if your equipment broke down, how can you make things happen if it's not just textbook? You can still do things the other way. And I really appreciated this guy. So here comes the first Gulf War. What do you mean I'm in the Army? I didn't know I was in the Army, y'all. I was wearing white uniforms, white stockings, polishing my shoes, cooking bacon in the oven and eggs, going to do the breathing treatments and all that. Okay. So my NCOIC, two people volunteered, and then my NCOIC had to pick names. He had to pick names out of a hat. That's when I realized, oh Lord, I got to go to war mission. What do you mean? Life changed for me in that instant. Then I realized I was in the Army and not just a respiratory therapist, because I'm going from a TMC to respiratory therapy school to a hospital. And that was my mindset. But there was a switch. From there, I went to 42nd Field Hospital. Now I've had that switch. Now I'm in a field hospital. Now I'm prepared for my go to war mission. But I go to that field hospital as a E6 with no experience. So what do? I go good with them privates and them specialists. And I learn every single thing I can. You can't lead nobody if you don't know nothing. So I learn every single thing I can. Everything. I'm in the motor pool. I'm doing everything. Dep meds. I'm doing everything. The trucks. I'm driving everything. I'm pulling everything. I'm putting up everything. From there, I go to we deploy to Somalia, supposedly a humanitarian mission. I guess we'll talk about that later. From there, I leave and I go to Fort Sam to the Army Burn Unit. Best duty assignment ever. From there, I go to teach respiratory therapy school, phase 1 of the schoolhouse. From there, that's when I went to Hawaii. In Hawaii, I worked as an NCOIC respiratory therapy. Then I got the opportunity to be one of the first sergeants in medical hold company. From there, I went to EO school because I kind of was strapped, or I couldn't advance. I just was at a stop. I couldn't advance. I went to EO school. They sent me back to Hawaii to be the EOA. From there, I got promoted. And the branch manager told me, if I get promoted, I'm going to move. Well, I got promoted and she sent me to Fort Stewart, 703rd FSB. I get there. I'm a first sergeant, the only female first sergeant in the brigade. Now I got to go to Iraq. And my company commander was a female as well. So we take them soldiers and we go to Iraq. That's the best duty assignment besides Hawaii. Though Hawaii and Fort Stewart were my best duty assignments. So we go there and we do what we need to do. I come back from Fort Stewart. I'm thinking I'm going to retire. I build me a house. I think I'm going to retire at Fort Stewart. Nope. I can't even get my household goods delivered, and I'm on assignment to go to Fort Sam. I've been pulled to go to Metcom EOA. I don't know how that happened. I didn't put in for it. I thought I was going to be out. And so I go back to Metcom, this time to be EOA over all of the medical. And so there you have it with my career. My final duty station was the reason why I decided to retire out of the Army.
Sam will do that to him.
It is what I saw and what I experienced. And it is the reason why all the upbeat things and things that I experienced at Fort Stewart that were so great were quickly slashed by the time I got back to Fort Sam and visited what was in the medical command. When I got out the military, I went into medical operations as a civilian and started doing that. And then I started doing health system specialist as a civilian. So I kind of teeter-tottered between health system specialist and medical operations. and I did 17 years, 9 months in civil service. And I got tired of the government for all the reasons that we probably won't get into. And I said deuces, and I'm out. And I'm home now trying to figure out my next chapter. So that's it.
Well, thank you. And and once again, thank you, ladies, for agreeing to participate on my podcast. A few disclaimers that I want to put out there. The link is going to be added. So if there's anyone out there who wants to come on and ask the panel any questions during the podcast, well, during the end of the podcast, I'm going to give everyone an opportunity to ask questions. And I only ask that you come on camera on the podcast to ask the question. It's limited. I do not want to flood the actual podcast with 25, 30, whatever. I haven't had that many people yet to join the podcast on live. Well, I just do not
had these celebrities. That's why.
What's that?
You haven't had these celebrities.
Okay. Well, hey, thank you, celebrities, for joining. So that's a disclaimer of everything. So with that, let's begin from the beginning. I think Rita and Andrea, you have already explained this to me, so there's really no need for you all to answer this question. You know, what was your reason for deciding to serve? So with that being said, you know, for instance, there's so many different reasons why you may decide to join the military. For me, well, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole because this is about you ladies. But Kathy, so what were some of the reasons that you decided to join the military?
So when I first came in, like I said before, I went in with the intention to be an MP because my dad was a police officer, Dayton, Ohio. I'm originally from. I live in San Antonio now, but and I joined. That's what I wanted to do. And then, like I said, I got out and I came back. And one thing that is very interesting about that is because I separated in the way I separated, I had to have 10 letters of recommendation. I had an RE code, reentry code, for those that don't know, of 4. I had to have a battalion and a brigade exemption for me to come back in. So I jumped through hoops to come back in. So when I came back in, there was no doubt I was doing 20 years. And the reason that I came back in is because in the time that I got out, I went back home and I had a good job. I was a bartender and I was making $500, $600 a week, but I didn't have anything to show for it, like nothing. I had a little like 1996 Pontiac Grand Am, completely paid for, but I cracked a water head on it. And terrible. And I just looked around and nothing to my friends, but they were just all doing the same thing. Everybody's going out every night, getting drunk, doing the same old thing. Like nobody was doing anything. And I was like, I don't want this for the rest of my life. And, you know, even though I was only in the military it was a year, even though I was only in the military a short time, I was like, just go back. So that's it. I made the decision, jumped through all the hoops that I needed to jump through. And I was like, well, if I go back in and I get back in, I'm doing the 20. And that's what I did.
Probably.
Yeah. I understand that. You know, we're going to move right along, and there's going to be times where I'm not going to ask everybody the same questions, because, you know, I know that there's so much knowledge and there's so much that could be discussed that you all could bring to the table. And I want this to be more of a conversation than me sitting here asking questions like you all are on a promotion board. So exactly, you know, what is leadership? You know, exactly. And believe me.
Please don't.
Exactly. Sergeant Major such and such is here to report on whomever. So, exactly. So, Sylvia, what were some of your, and what did your family think when you told them you was going to join the military?
Ooh, so it was not welcomed. Um, my uncle, mom's brother, was Navy. Had everything bad to say about Army. He was the closest person to me that had been in the military. Um, of course, my mom wanted me to go to college, but she did not afford me to go to the college I wanted to go to.
Mhm.
So um, I was 17, wasn't old enough to go in without a parent's signature. Mom said she wasn't going to sign. Dad said he wasn't going to sign. Grandma said she wasn't going to sign. I asked the uncle. He said he wasn't going to sign. And so finally, I just sat down and I said, well, I don't see what I'm going to do if I stay here. I don't want to go to the school that's 5 minutes from my house, which was Nicholls State University.
Mhm.
Nothing against Nicholls State, but I had spent most of my junior and senior year of high school hanging out there. So I thought I went to the school. So I was like, I don't want to go to this school.
As in high school, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I was hanging out. But so finally, I think at some point I just wore my mom and dad down,
Mhm.
and they decided they would sign.
Mhm.
I actually tested very high and was going to go in the Air Force. Everybody said the Air Force
Wow.
was easy. The issue, or it wasn't an issue. The thing with that was, we all know you have to wait for your date for whatever
Mhm.
your school is going to be, right?
Mhm.
And so Air Force did not have anything available for the schooling that I wanted until sometime August. And I wanted to be gone right out of high school, right?
Mm.
Remember back in the day, Soul Train, and you would always see that Army commercial, join
B,
the military, be all
B.
right. And I wanted to be an air traffic controller on a ship or a plane. So Air Force or Navy. Army was not the first choice, but it was the branch that afforded me to leave like right after high school. So I actually turned 18 in basic training. Um, and that was, you know, how I got there. It was not welcome. My family did not want me to go because they thought, as soon as I got in the Army, I would be in a war. That's what people think. If you join the military, you're gonna go to a war. That did not happen. And so, there were ups and downs, but it ended up being some of the best 10 years of my life because I was able to meet people that I have built lifelong relationships with, to include this man right here, right?
Exactly.
And
As
sometimes,
he's waving his hand.
yeah, and you guys probably could attest to that. I met Andrea through JD. We were having our house gathering. And so military becomes family. And even after all of this time, it's still hard for me to be friends with civilians because I just feel like they don't understand. And I know that's not a part of the question, but it
Oh,
kind of
probably.
do that. Like, so even though my family initially did not want me to go, I do believe that they were proud of all of the accomplishments I did while I was there.
So we're gonna sidetrack real quick. When you said that about speaking with civilians, we all know that the military originally was, male-dominated environment. Um, when did you all realize that? Wow, okay, as a woman, that you would be treated differently than the male soldiers that you were stationed with or you encountered? I see Kathy. Kathy, we're gonna come back to you. I saw that facial expression, but go ahead, Rita.
Um, I saw it at my first duty station actually.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in the clinic, I noticed that my NCOIC, he would round up all, and actually it was by race too. He would round up all the Hispanic males, and put them where they were supposed to be in charge of certain areas, but they didn't have to do nothing. And I mean, absolutely nothing. All they would do is sit around and drink coffee all day long.
Mm.
And all the women did all the work. But back then I was too young. I saw it, but I didn't recognize it as a problem because I was happy to be learning. Remember, I'm competitive, I'm this, I'm eager to learn, I'm all of those things. So I didn't see it as a problem at 18.
At that point, you did not see it was a problem. But
No.
I'm willing to bet you by the time you became that EO, that bus started to stop.
I didn't. Yeah, it took me to E6.
Before then, you would see where, hold on, as a female NCO, that, you know, I'm not going to get treated like this. And you ensured that your soldiers did not get treated in that manner, and you did not treat your soldiers in that manner. So also, Miss Andrea, I saw you nod your head when Sylvia made that statement as well. What is your input on that?
I really saw it when in basic training. Really, basic training. My first duty station for sure, but in basic training, I saw that it was going to be an issue because the males always got the leadership positions. I was at Fort Jackson as well. All the PGs were always male. It didn't matter who you were. I was the oldest, obviously, because I came in the military when I was 25 years old. I went to college, as you know. So I came in the military late in my life. So, of course, they're like, oh, she's older. She has some leadership in this and that, but we still gonna put a male as this, and that was the issue for me coming from being in leadership positions in college and things of that nature. So of course I naturally was like, I can do that. No, you can't do that. You know, Fort Irwin, as a matter of fact, was one of the places where I saw it the most. I worked at the hospital. Anytime anybody had to go to the box, I was the one that was sent, but I never got the credit.
Wow.
And I was always the one sent to the box on rotations, always.
Wow.
Also, they had the Baton Death March.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 44-mile ruck march from Painted Rock in Fort Irwin, California, to the Army's Veteran Center in Barstow, California. 44-mile ruck. I did it every year. Only female to ever do it. Never got credit. Never got put in. Never got put in.
No.
Yeah, but this is the thing. This was the thing.
But they don't recognize.
I did those things in order to get promoted, in order to seek, and I still was an E4 up until well into Hawaii. So I was there for 2 years and just never. So I just started doing me. Pretty much. I stopped doing the Army thing. I started doing the basketball thing because that's what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And then I got faulted for that. So it's so many things that go on in your military career that your leadership is the one that dictates what your actual career is going to be. Mm-hmm. And if you have bad leaders, that means you're not going to have a good career.
That's correct.
And I was blessed when I came to Hawaii because I had Michelle, because she pushed me. You know, those are the times where I prospered the most. But then when I went to a bad unit at Fort Hood, had horrible leadership, that made me get out. So you can see the difference. You see it, you feel it. It's in the environment, the way the soldiers are being treated. But I told myself once I became an NCO, I would never do that. I would
That's
never
what I said.
That. Never.
Right.
So
that's right.
Ms. Kathy, what are your experiences with that?
I think probably similar. So my first duty station was El Paso. I was at William Beaumont.
Mhm.
Well,
Wow.
31st, then William Beaumont. So I did the reverse.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. And I high speed, low drag.
Yeah.
I got there like, and I can't speak for any other logistician, but I loved medical logistics, like,
Yeah.
because I just knew how important it was, right there. And beyond that, uh, I guess I'm what they classified as like a board baby. I loved going to boards, and so I would always volunteer for stuff like that. And my NCOIC at the time, uh, Sergeant Johnson. Oh,
Hold on, back up for a second. Let me interject. Why are you saying that about your that NCOIC? Was it a
oh,
male or female?
male. The hands down the worst NCO I ever had. He had this arrogance, and
Mm.
it wasn't earned arrogance, right?
Mm.
He wasn't smart, and I don't mean that in like a derogatory way. Like he wasn't knowledgeable about the MOS enough to. I think he reclassed as an E5 into back then we were 76 Juliets. He was new to the MOS, and just always rude. He came from Fort Bragg before he came to El Paso, so everything was back at Bragg, back at Bragg, back at Bragg, and it was just like, we're not at Bragg, we're here, and this is, we have a mission. This is our mission, and he just had like this need to make everything difficult. You know what I mean? Like, but it was only the females that he did that to. Only. Like, he was on the basketball team, and he was the coach for the William Beaumont volleyball team. Like, he did all of the extracurriculars like all the time. But when it came to like taking care of his soldiers, only the males. It was very clear that he wanted to help male soldiers like get out there and send them to the board. And it's just like, hey, you got other soldiers over here, and like, we want to do things. We're right there. I think, sorry, that everybody's been to Bliss, right? So we're over there on Biggs Field, right there where the Sergeant Major's Academy is, and it's like there's opportunities to do things there, and it's just like, why not let us? But he would always like push the male soldiers to do it, and yeah, that was the beginning. But I would say he was probably one of the hardest, like, as far as that. Yeah, and then until I got to Walter Reed. Walter Reed was the second, and that was a tough one too. But I survived.
And I hear it all the time from Michelle, my wife, who was prior military, and it was times where I would let her know, no, you need to put your foot down. You need to say this and you need to say that. I don't give a damn who they are. You do not you do not need to let anyone talk to you like that in any kind of way. First of all. Second of all, your name is Davies. And I never took any shit from anyone. And so, but you all know Michelle. That's why she's not on camera today, because she's bashful per se. When it's with you.
Oh,
Frozen.
Oh, you're froze.
Froze.
well, maybe it wasn't.
All of that to say,
You're freezing, Jane.
You froze up.
Your hand is still frozen. Oh, talk to hand. We talking to your hand.
I know. We'll fill the silence. Yeah, I mean, I've had some great leaders, but and some not so great leaders.
Isn't it funny how we have to? Well, for me, like learning what not to do. That's
Okay.
how
Yeah.
I learn
And it's
what not to
learning
do.
how to circumvent
Yeah.
those
Hmm.
Yeah.
bad leaders.
Yeah, it's true.
Adding to that, when you were talking, I was thinking about a time I was at Fort Carson and a slot became, you know how it is to get to these schools. There was a slot open for PLDC. And hey, I was had more time in grade, more time in service. And there was only one slot that came to my unit. And the first sergeant wanted the armorer to go, you know, one of his hang out at the club, chew snuff buddies. But he didn't have the time in service, the time in grade that I had. And I was had more time, more rank than him.
Yeah.
And so we went back and forth, back and forth. And I will say, because my PSNCO was a woman, she stood up for me. I got the spot. I got to go to PLDC. And then in saying that too, I just remember all the times, you know, after I made NCO, I had a guy one time tell me, I'm the squad leader. Well, you can stand next to me because I'm taller than you. It doesn't look right for you to be here. And you know how you line up in formation.
I do.
I'm the squad leader. I can't help that I'm short, but
Right.
and I'm a woman. But it
My
just makes sense.
They come up with anything.
So I'm sitting here basically reliving some of these experiences. How, you know, being a woman and being able, James and I, when we were stationed together, they used to call me a little gazelle. I outran pretty much all of the guys in the unit, right?
Mhm.
Can you all hear me?
We
Yes.
can. Yes.
Okay. You see me shaking my head?
You can't hear us?
Yes, I can. Okay. So I'm not frozen anymore.
Oh, no.
No, you're good now.
Okay. I was wondering, I was trying to call Michelle. So when I heard you say that, I had to interject. When you said you could outrun all of the guys. Okay, I'm just trying. Go ahead. Go ahead.
However many people in our unit, however many people was in the unit, when we took off for PT, how many people came back and how many females came back?
Mhm.
It was probably 2.
That's how I
You
was.
and, you and Pine said.
Yeah.
So
You know what?
I'm sorry. I was having some issues. So I'm going to interject to take over my podcast again. I don't know what happened. It still shows where Oops Connection lost, reconnecting. But apparently you all can hear me. I can hear you.
Mhm.
I know that you all continue to have great conversations while I was having those technical difficulties. You know, don't charge it to the head because I did my PCIs prior to make sure everything was good. But hey, that's how it is. Sometimes it happens.
We're women. We know how to take charge.
No comment.
I thought you had froze again.
The question I was going to, what I was going to lead into was, well, you know how, as I was saying about Michelle, let's be realistic, okay? We're not going to sugarcoat anything. We're going to call a spade and keep it REAL. You come across male chauvinists in the military, a lot of them. A lot of them feel that I'm a man, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. I'm stronger than you physically. Yes, you may be stronger than me physically, but when it comes to knowledge, as Kathy pointed out, doing your job, just because you're a male doesn't mean that you can do the job better than I can. So with that, how would you say you would respond when someone questioning your leadership abilities and your knowledge of your MOS? Okay, I'm going to start with Andrea because go ahead, Andrea.
No, the one thing I will always say in anything when anyone questions what you do, just show them. You can show them. Just show them that you're competent, that you're capable, and they have no way of saying you're not. It was just like that downrange. Like I told you guys with this whole medical supply implementation downrange had never been done, right? So they come to us as logisticians, me and another E6 logistician who was not the NCOIC, by the way, of the warehouse downrange, and asked, okay, so this is what we want to do. You think you guys could be the first ones to do this here?
Can I interject real quick?
Sure.
I want and then I want you to go back to what you were saying.
Okay.
You guys, Rita, when I was in EO school, we was taught, and this is normal conversation for people to say you guys, you guys. And I learned in EO school that when you say you guys, if it's one female soldier that felt some kind of way because you said you guys, you were wrong. And that's why I just want to interject on that, because a lot of people, you know, as James Campbell said in the chat, you know, listen to you ladies help him to realize the type of manager, type of leader that he was. So with that being said, I know for me, and even now when I hear you guys, I'm looking around the room to look at the faces of females in the room to see how they're going to feel. So my next question, I'm going to leave it
a question to you. When you went to EO school, was it now in the civilian world, or
no,
was it in the military?
Actually, it was in the military, and then I went to EO seminar in my job when I was in DC.
Because the reason why I say that, I work at an all-female institution, all women's institution. You know, sometimes women don't like to be called females. In the Army, that was our title, female, right?
Right.
And because of the generation I grew up in, you guys were a thing. It didn't have any type of negative connotation.
Right.
It was, hey guys, come on. And I could be talking to all my girlfriends. Hey guys. So we have to also look at it in that way. By definition, when you say you guys and there's one woman in the room, you could have offended that person.
Yeah.
But I think that goes to also a person's level of sensitivity. And I know now when you start talking about DEI and all of those things, it is pushed more for you not to use certain words. I get caught up all the time, not even just at my job, you know, but I could be talking to somebody and I might say the R word we used to say for kids who rode the short bus, but it wasn't saying something bad back when I was a child, a teenager. But now I try to catch myself so I am not using phrases that have been phased out as we come forward into where we are now, right? So that's why I asked, when you went, was it the military? Because I just recall everybody always saying you guys, even the commander, you guys.
It used to be so universally accepted to say you guys, but then things changed. And as you can tell, what you were just talking about, every time you look around, something else is more offensive. I think back in the day, like you said, you guys was accepted. I've always stayed away from anything that referred to gender. I would say you all, or soldiers, or ma'am, or, you know, things like that. I would just refer to the person's name and just stay away from anything like that, or would everyone please, that kind of thing. If I'm speaking to civilian population or soldiers, you can address in a different way, just to stay away from those things that might be offensive. But in anything that we say these days is probably going to offend somebody. I won't even go into today's.
We're gonna drill down into that. And Andrea, I want to apologize for interrupting and then get sidetracked.
No, you're fine.
I want to give you the opportunity to finish your thought.
No, all I was saying was that even when you're downrange and I might have said you guys, but I say it all the time. That's one of my
Mhm.
phrases. I say that at everybody. It's just what I do. Hey, you guys, that from the Goonies, if you ever seen that movie. But
Remember Electric Company.
yeah. And then, so being downrange, they did ask, okay, who's capable of doing this, that, and the third? And of course, the other NCO, was a male, who was my counterpart, doing this mission with me, was like, no, we are not capable of doing that. Why? And of course, instantly I asked why, and I was the leper for asking why aren't we capable of doing that? Because I'm very well versed in demos. I know I just came from a schoolhouse where they taught us all of the implementation for this. I think that's the reason why they sent me, the reason why I'm here. Why not?
Right.
So it became
That's
a
great.
big deal on who was leading the implementation,
Bobby McNair.
right? So in that, because that young man did not know his job, it then went to me, not me first. So those are the things that you see as a woman in positions of that nature, that you say, okay, well, they didn't even consider me in the beginning in the first place. I'm just a secondary option because there's no one else that is a male to fulfill the obligation. Now, is that always true? No, it's not. James, I'm so sorry to say that. No, it's not always true, but majority of the time, that is the issue. That is what is
What do you
done.
mean? I'm sorry. What do you mean it's not always true?
It's not always true. I mean, it's sometimes you have an individual who is a female that don't know her job. That's what I mean. That don't know her job. So of course they're gonna pick the best person for the job. But majority of the times, it's because she's a female that she doesn't get the position.
And I'm sorry. Go ahead. We're going to go to Andrea. I'm sorry. Go to Sylvia, and then we're going to come back to you, Cooper.
Well,
Go
what
ahead.
I was going to say, as while we're on this topic, what I was going to say is, we're all women, and I don't know if you all were married, in service, out of service, how that worked, but I know for me, the military starts off male dominated. Okay. I was a support MOS. Once I married, my ex-husband was combat arms. So I no longer got an option to where I was going to be stationed, right? I remember getting orders to go to Monterey Bay, San Francisco, but because there's not a job for artillery or infantry at that state duty station. So guess what happened? My orders were revoked, and I end up in Uijeongbu, Korea. So when you talk about being male dominated, the military starts off in that manner. If you are a woman, you marry, you're in the military, you're always going to follow. If your husband is combat arms, unless both of you are in support, if your husband is combat arms, you will get assigned wherever it is needed for him first.
Right.
So all of my duty stations were in places that I felt like I shouldn't even be here, because this, my job, support, admin, I could go to all the nice places, but no, I had to accompany my husband as if I didn't wear the uniform as well.
Wow, that's something I never thought about.
When I ended up at Fort Stewart, Georgia, that in a water purification unit as a personnel administration specialist, I didn't have a problem, because guess what? Those people became my best friends. But I didn't do water. I don't know anything about water. All I did was drink water. But the military told me that I had to go wherever the need was for my husband first.
Yep.
And let me tell you this, my husband, shout out to Raymond Borrego, he changed his MOS so we didn't have to go.
Girl, you had a good one.
Yes, he did.
Wow.
He changed his MOS to occupational therapy so we could always be stationed at a hospital together.
Oh, wow.
hold on. I'm going to make a comment, but we're going to allow Kathy to voice her opinion on this topic.
Well, I was going to say, going back to what Andrea was saying, you know, as far as women or female soldiers not always being, you know, the subject matter experts, but I think a lot of times, at least, you know, throughout my career, it always seemed like I had to prove myself, right? Coming to a new unit, having to prove myself, prove that I was knowledgeable and that I, you know, that I knew what I was talking about. But I think a lot of that has to come with what she said is they're not all great. And so what I saw a lot of times was I would be with, whether it was another senior NCO in support operations or, you know, the company commander or XO or whoever, you know, they would have had negative experiences from someone. And it's just like, unfortunately, that bias gets pushed on. So it would, you know, get to me, and it's like, I'm coming in the door and I know my skill level and I know where I'm at as far as compared to my peers. And it's like, okay, well, here we go again. I got to show you how good I am. And then I get, you know, not trying to puff myself up, but I knew what I was doing. And it always just felt like no matter where I went, I always had to prove it again. And it was because of the ones that didn't take the time to care about the job. And that was always.
And let me tell you this, and let me say this one thing. So I'm clear. I just want to be clear. My lived experiences are not everybody's experiences, right? So I need to make that clear. I mean, I might have gone through things in the military, but I know there's a lot of women that I've talked to that have gone through a lot of the same things that I've gone through, not in the exact same manner, but they have gone through similar things in their career. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Well, what I was going to say is in my final duty station, as I was leaving out, like I said, I retired out of Korea. I chose Korea because I needed to get away from Joint Base Lewis McChord. And as I'm leaving, I completely changed the entire brigade. And as I'm leaving the brigade and I'm turning it over to another NCO, I have systems set up, and I've got, you know, I'm working with USAMA to outfit all of our sets, kits, and outfits through the entire peninsula. And here comes this NCO who didn't want to be there, made it clear that he didn't want to be there because he wanted to go do something else. And he's like, why do I have to do all this? Because it's our job. What do you mean? Why do you have to do all of this? And after I left, the company commander, the battalion commander, like I'm on permissive TDY, and they're calling me like, can you just help us? No, I'm sorry. Sorry, sir. I'm sorry. I can't help you. You chose him and I told you not to choose him. I sat down with my battalion commander and he said, do you think I should take this NCO? And I said, no. He made it very clear he doesn't want to be here. I said, I think you should choose this person. And they went with this person. And I said,
get what you get.
I'm sorry. I told you not to. And so that was, you know, that was it. He didn't want to do it. And, you know, all the 16 months of work just gone because they didn't want to keep it up.
Well, those type leaders in general can make your life miserable in the military. You see it a lot. People come to duty stations and this is not where I want it to be. This, you know, the Army put me here. And that happens a lot. You don't get to call. I remember here when Fort McPherson was still in existence. And I wanted to live in Atlanta, you know. So I wanted to be at Fort McPherson. I had the right MOS. I'm not going to go down that hole again about combat arms and following the man. But when you get people, especially in leadership, and they end up on an assignment, i.e., whereas you volunteered to go to Korea, what about those people who are 2 years out from retirement and then they come down on assignment? I had someone in my unit like that. And they made your life living hell because I don't want to spend these 12, 13 months in Korea when I'm getting ready to retire.
Yeah.
So I definitely understand how leadership operates and how it can be detriment to other soldiers.
Yeah.
You know, you made a comment about leadership, and I remember it's exactly what you're saying, because as soon as I retired or dropped my retirement papers and got my approved retirement, Michelle came on orders to go to Fort Bliss. It was like no time in between. But the reason we stayed in Hawaii was because of the people that we knew, and I was happy to be in Hawaii. It's like I was following her. Her brands wanted to send her to. Her brands wanted to get her off of Oahu, but at the time, my branch was like, nope, he's going to stay there.
wow.
So to that, she stayed with me. But as soon as I got approved retirement, my wife came out on orders. Rita, you said something to go from Flint to California. Just imagine the opposite of going from Hawaii to El Paso.
I know. Hey, I'm in El Paso now, but I understand.
On the border.
Culture shock.
So we all know that you cannot build a successful military career without mentors, without let me rephrase that, without good leaders, mentors, and not having toxic leadership. And I know, Andrea, you mentioned this previously about this Special Sergeant First Class Michelle Davies. Are there other mentors and supervisors, or I hate that word supervisors, mentors or leaders that have guided you all throughout your when you was in the military?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Sylvia.
So I'm probably 4 years in now. And remember, I came in, my family didn't want me to go. I was supposed to be going to college. So I came in, I'm going to get my GI Bill, 3 years, hop out, 4 years, maybe hop out. But it wasn't horribly bad. So I'm still here. I go to Korea. At this point, I went to Germany, learned early how to party. Because remember, now I'm just 18 when I get in country. And spent those 3 years like really just growing up, living life. Left Germany pregnant, arrived at Fort Carson about 7 months pregnant. So life started happening really quickly. And so now I have to be a soldier, I have to be a mother, I have to do all of these things. It wasn't until I got to Korea where my PSNCO, she was like, she was putting me in for a lateral promotion to corporal, right? Because I'm going to supervise some people, and some of them were E4s. So she was like, why haven't you been to school? And at this point, I'm like, I'm going to make this 20 years. I'll get down that road at some point. And it was her and her husband who actually went down to the education center and signed me up for courses, because she was like, you're going to need this to get promoted, and you're going to have to do these things if you plan to stay in the military, and actually put me on the right track to promotion, how education, leadership, and all of these things were going to help me, whether I decided to stay in the military or not. And so coming across her, I won't say I had bad mentors, supervisors, but I will say she was one of the best, because she not only looked out for me, my professional career and what I needed to be successful in the military, but also setting me up so when you get out of the military, you will have these skills, you will have the education, you will need the things in your personal life so that you can continue to go forward.
Right. I know for me, other than Michelle Davies, and I'm gonna always mention
Michelle Davies, come on camera.
Other than Michelle Davies, I had Tara Thickpen, awesome NCO in Hawaii. as a human, period. She just poured into me as a woman, as a leader. Also, um, really, you guys, those two women right there, they poured into me so much and put me in a position to be great as a logistician. They always sent me to the best schools. They always put me in positions where I learned the most. Then when I got to Fort Hood, everything went downhill because I had a really bad first sergeant. I'm not gonna talk to you guys about who that is, but um, he was one of those guys that came from Fort Bragg, and you know, so of course, dealing with him, I had to leave the unit. I went to the sergeant major at the time, who was Sergeant Major Johnson. If anybody knows deep voice, Sergeant Major Johnson, very deep voice. I can't think of his name, his first name. Leo was his first name. He was the battalion sergeant major at the time. So I literally had to go to him and talk to him about this first sergeant. So they removed me from the unit. And then all of this is going on while my husband is going through what he's going through with the shooting at Fort Hood. And so he's like, come work for me. That changed my whole career. As far as what I was going to do, as far as getting out, as far as getting my medical done, as he gave me a chance and put me in a position to be looked at looked at as more than an NCO. I became the master driver of the battalion. So I got to working with equipment that I never worked with before. I got to train soldiers on a daily basis. I got to work with logisticians like CW5 Woodard, one of the highest ranking females in the Army as far as CW ranks are concerned. Learned so much from her. But then all of a sudden, it was just time for me to go. You know, when it's that time for you to go, you know it's that time for you to go. So I can always say that I had good leadership, but the bad times were bad,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Right.
Bad times were bad. You know, weight control was a big thing for me. I'm a big girl, y'all. I'm 6'1", in the military, 200 pounds, right? They always looked at me as overweight.
You get ahead of ahead of my podcast.
I'm so sorry. So let's talk about that later. And that's a whole other subject.
Talk about that.
No, Dre.
You're 6'1".
We're gonna come back to
Imagine
that.
When we get to that subject, I have something to tell you about.
Yeah, because you can be tall and big, you could be short and chubby,
right?
Exactly.
And still have to get the tape, right?
Right.
You can be short like Kathy and Michelle.
From the time of coming in the military and basic training until I retired, that was my life.
Yeah.
So
I told him one day, I said, my grandma fed me red beans and rice. I don't know what you want me to do with this 5'2", but this is who I am.
But I'm out running the boys, and I'm doing more push-ups and sit-ups than all of them. Okay.
Right.
Okay. We gotta get back on track here. Go ahead, Kathy.
So I've had some decent mentors throughout my career, but two that really stick out is one when I was at Walter Reed and he was the career counselor. Fun fact, I actually tried 3 separate times to reclass to career counselor, but Julie Ann Soto never allowed me to do that. But Sergeant Major Daniel Hilton, sorry.
Great last name.
He told me, this goes back to something Sylvia said earlier. I came down on assignment to go to Korea the first time, and I did not want to go. I didn't want to go. I was at E5 at the time, and I didn't want to go because I had just had, Deja was a little baby, Deja was little. Actually, Jordan was a little baby. I had just had Jordan. and I didn't want to go. And he said, you know what, Sergeant Cooper, he said, sometimes the places you want to go aren't always the places you need to go. And sometimes the places you need to go aren't always the places you want to go. And I didn't understand what he meant until I got to Korea and I was able to go to master driver school. I was able to go to EOL. I was able to go to UPL. I did like 5 some odd college classes while I was like, I did a lot, and I lost a lot of weight, and I was able to go to the board, and I got promoted, and I did a lot in Korea because I didn't have my kids, you know, not saying that they were holding me back, but I was able to focus more on me and focus more on my military career than I had in a long time. So that really, like, I understood what he meant after that. And then the second one, which I think was actually life-changing for me, was Sergeant Major, Command Sergeant Major Benjamin H.S. Scott Jr., probably one of the most prolific people. If you know his brother, Senator Scott in South Carolina, Tim Scott, you would wonder how they're related, but he is nothing like his brother.
I often say I got some questions. Okay,
he's
go ahead.
nothing like his brother. But Sergeant Major Scott, I was having a lot of difficulty with an NCO, and you know, I was depressed. I was drinking a lot, and I was dealing with a lot. But I was worried about my my security clearance. I was worried for my security clearance, and I didn't want to go seek behavioral health and all of this other stuff. And he was like, you know what, Sergeant Cooper, he said, screw it. He was like, going to seek behavioral health is not a sign of weakness. It's the sign of strength that you need to go. And had I not done, like, he, you know, he mentored me in other ways too. I actually went to the Audie Murphy board because of him and other stuff. But if it wouldn't have been for him, I would not have sought therapy and unpacked, unfucked a lot of issues that I had, a lot of complex PTSD. So he probably, I would say, is the second biggest, mentor.
We're gonna jump ahead because there's a plethora of questions or topics that I want to hit. So I'm gonna, you know, there's a lot of this may be a difficult subject to talk about, but have there ever been instances where you have felt uncomfortable, experienced discrimination, harassment, inappropriate behavior from men or women in the military? You know, I know that it happens. I know that it happens, and you know, as I stated, you know, it's male chauvinistic. Let's be real. When I came in the military, I was in field artillery, and we used to sing the cadences that we used to sing. Hey, that's what we used to sing. You have to have that as a male NCO or a male soldier. I had to have that paradigm. I had to have that paradigm shift for myself once I start to work around female soldiers. So with that being said, are there any instances where any one of you all have, if you don't feel like sharing, that's fine, I understand. But have there been any instances where you have had that encounter?
That's part of why I had to go to therapy, honestly. Yeah.
I'll share. I don't mind. And JD, you know exactly who I'm talking about, but I'm not, unless it's in a positive light, I won't put people's names out there. I was stationed at Hunter Army Airfield, and you know, to know me, I am a very outgoing person. You know, joking around. I've had guys say, "Oh, you're flirty," but I don't think I'm flirty. I think I'm just being me. It's how you're perceiving it. Well, I had been approached several times by a high-ranking member in our battalion, all the way to the point where when it's time for you to go to the board, I'll make sure you're okay. I don't need you to make sure I'm okay. And I think to make the story short, the final straw for me was I was sitting in the office one day working, and he comes into our building and puts a paper towel on my desk and slid it to me and said, meet me here when you get off. So, I'm like, meet me here. It's just paper. When I opened it, it was a key to just you smiling to make me laugh. It was a key to a hotel room, right? And I was at that point, I think I'm a pretty strong woman. So you could come at me with a lot of stuff, but it takes a lot for me to feel like I need to bring this to someone's attention. And at that point, I was like, okay, this is a bit much. So I went to my commander. And I said, like, this has stop laughing. I said, this is what, because it's not, it's funny now. It wasn't funny then. I said,
I'm sorry. It's funny because I know the situation.
right.
I'm sorry.
So I was like, this is what's been going on. Nothing has ever happened, but, and I wasn't trying to get anybody in trouble. And I feel like if you did it to me, you had did it to others. Right.
Yeah.
And so I went to my commander and I gave him the key. And I told him who brought it to me, what was said, how it was said. And I guess what the expectation was. You would have had to know my commander, right? Big, tall, black dude. He stood up and he was like, what the, curse word. And got in his car and immediately drove up to where this person's office was. And whatever that conversation was, I don't know, whatever that conversation was, but I was told you don't have to worry, this will never happen again. And so, it was a bit much because in between all of the things that was said, telling me come in your office, you brought me candy and all of these things, it got to a point, I'll be like, I don't want this or I don't want that. But for me to say to you, your advances are not welcome, but you to continue and then to show up with a key to and it wasn't even a hotel, it was a motel. If you all have ever
At least
lived,
could have been a hotel.
if you have ever lived
Well, they take me to the Hilton.
there's a
Sorry.
Oh my
if
God.
you have ever if you know anything about Savannah, Georgia, there's a little bitty town outside of Savannah called Garden City. And it was a motel. One of those things you enter from the outside. So yeah. And it, I ended my career at Hunter, not because of that, but because of I felt discrimination, racism, and my commander kept putting me on these rotations. And I was like, I just had a baby. You're trying to send me to a field exercise or to an exercise in Egypt when I just came back from Cuba, and we have other people who can go. So, and I'll let that stay there.
Hold that thought. We're gonna come back to that. Let's see here. Go ahead, Miss. Elaborate on that, Miss. I saw Kathy making some facial expressions during that time. Elaborate if you care to share.
Come back to me.
Okay, go ahead, Miss Rita.
I'll share a story that I had. I was in Hawaii. I was E7. I had volunteered to take a first sergeant job in the company. Supposed to hold it temporarily, and none of the E8s in the hospital wanted the job. So I'm, hungry. I'm gonna take it, hold it down until. So I'm in this first sergeant job, and this senior leader took interest in me. And the way I noticed it is after we would have our meetings, he would always want me to stay behind, me only, right? And it was very uncomfortable. I noticed that from the very beginning, and I didn't like it. Um, I had never experienced anything like that before, and he was so flirtatious and so. And I've never been the kind of soldier that would. I can't stand that. I can't stand. Even when I was in Iraq, we was on a promotion board, and some soldier came in on the board, and she was like, "Sir Major, report." I told her to get out. I've never been that kind of I've never been that kind of soldier to do that kind of stuff. I just don't do that. So anyway, he would tell me every single time, and then he would call my. And so back in those days, we only had pagers and stuff, and you have to go to the phone and call. And he don't want nothing. And then he would call my house on the house phone, and then just all those things. And then I was intimidated because people would be sitting in 4187s, and they have to come through his office, and he would just either tear them up and throw them in the trash, or he would call headquarters DA, phone a friend, and get them opposite of what they wanted, and just doing just dirty stuff, or whatever. He would go to boards. He would come back, and he would tell me. He looked in my file, and he would tell me when he leaves, he gonna make sure I go with him. I don't want to go nowhere with you, right? That kind of stuff or whatever. Just blocking me in the office. It was just horrible. And so one day I stood up. Now I had told this other first sergeant about it, but he told me I need to take one for the team.
Wow.
He's a black guy.
Mm.
He told me I need to take one for the team. He's a very popular black guy. Um, and I lost respect for that guy at that day. I don't have it. And that guy went on to climb the ladder, and everything, and everybody thought he was so wonderful. And I don't have any respect for him at all. He was the one person I thought I could talk to about it. The other two first sergeants, I didn't really know them that well. One of the other ones, he was the only one who came in and taught me some things, and later on ended up being one of the mentors of my career. But so one day I ended up I had enough, and on this particular day he told me, "First Sergeant, you stay here." And I stood up and I said, "No, I will not." And I stood up, kind of semi parade rest ish, and I just put my voice on, and I said, "No, I will not. You will not keep me in this office." Da da da. And one of the other first sergeants, the one that I told you that was teaching me some stuff, he was like, "Don't do it." I was about to jump over that desk and let Flint girl come out. I'm not lying, because I had had enough. I was done. I was done with, you flirting with me, you just keeping me, holding me. And see, I was torn between I was a real soldier. Like military bearing meant something to me, right? I was never going to be the person who cuss somebody out or do any of those kind of things ever. And so it was real bad. I ain't going into all the detail, but it was real bad. And so when I got to that point, he said, "Don't do it." And so um, I didn't. And then I moved out of that job. Um, uh, and actually, we had another sergeant major from Metcom come in, and he used to be major in Germany. And I told him about it. I went to him and told him, and that person got relieved immediately, and they started the investigation. But what it did for me was it put me in the hospital. I immediately collapsed, just like couldn't do anything. But I did find the strength to go through the whole investigation thing, and everything, and speak my truth, and stand on my own 2 feet. But it took
Right.
that other first sergeant um, to have my back, really. And I did stand on my own 2 feet. Um, and I'm glad I did, because later on in life, I got my sea legs and I'm able to stand up against anybody, anytime, when I see wrong. Thank you.
As you should, as you
Yeah.
should. Miss Andrea, do you have a quick story to tell before we hit up Miss Kathy?
Yeah, I got one quick story. I got many stories, but I
Me
got one
too.
quick story. And I've never told Michelle any of this either, so this will probably be a shock to her too. My first duty station, in California. Y'all know I was on the All Army basketball team for many years. 10 years
Mhm.
I was on the All Army basketball team, and being that I was on the All Army basketball team, you know, there's a lot of gay females on the All Army
Mhm.
basketball team. And no knocking to them. Some of my best friends, some of
Mhm.
my sisters, and but being a part of that organization put a target on my back a little bit, as far as individuals approaching me about different things. So I had a
Right.
sergeant major at my first unit, my first duty station of the hospital, actually, that approached me in that manner, and I
Mhm.
just literally had to tell them no,
Mhm.
no thank you, whatever.
Mhm.
And so let's fast forward. Fast forward a year after me being there, I get introduced to a young man who is in a supporting unit that we go to the box. Of course, I'm always the one getting sent to the box.
Mhm.
Um, and he pretty much put a target on my back, NCO. Started approaching me. I don't know anything about the military, y'all. I'm brand new in the Army. Yeah, maybe 25, but I still don't know customs and courtesies. I don't
Right.
know if you need. I'm grown. I'm 25 years old, so I feel like I can talk to any and everybody that I want to. Right?
Mhm.
I don't know the rules. I don't
Mhm.
know, but this is a senior NCO who's approaching me at this point. So we become close. He's not in my unit, so I'm like, I think I'm good. All is well. He approaches me. We become close. He meets my family, right?
Mhm.
This man literally groomed me, right?
Mhm.
Um, Met my family, saw a lot of things, and this man had some influence on my career as well.
Mhm.
So get back, whatever. After him meeting my family, we take a cross country trip from Fort Irwin to North Carolina together for him to meet my family. Come back to Fort Irwin. Instantly, I get a call saying that you need to come to the sergeant major's office. His wife has gone to my sergeant major, this one that has approached me, and told them that I have wrecked their home, wrecked their family, right? Wrecked their family. This sergeant major, because I didn't approach her, and then turn gave me a letter of reprimand, and then
Oh
turn took
no.
me out of my job that I worked so hard for. Then in turn, getting ready to PCS, I get a COA for a PCS award to go to Hawaii. So I'm not just saying that it's a leadership position. It's a leadership problem. Um,
Mm.
it's not only male, it's females too, believe it or not.
Mhm. Mhm.
So and I only say that because of course I'm not gay, I'm married.
Mhm.
But I was very secure in myself to say, no, that's not what I do. You do
Mhm.
you, it is
Mhm.
what it is, but that's something that's always done as well.
Mhm.
So so not only was I discriminated against for a male version,
Mhm.
but also female.
Mhm.
So what do you do about that? It's like
Right.
you're stuck. You're stuck in a hard place.
Right.
Like, okay, I need to be this way. I need to be that way. And the person that really changed because I was ready to get out when I came to Hawaii. I was going to do my 4 years, and that was going to be it. Like, I'm done. You know. But and I'm going to continue to talk about that woman that you married. I'm sorry. She really changed my mind about the military.
Yeah.
She really changed my mind
Okay.
about the woman that I was and the strong person that I was, and that I could get through anything. So
Mm-hmm.
kudos to her for that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway,
I'm serious.
kudos.
No,
It's
kudos
true.
to her for that
It's
one.
true.
But you don't know what somebody has gone through or been through.
Yeah.
That's
It's
You
true.
see what I'm saying?
And but you
So
know,
that's
after Miss Kathy tell her story, I have a story to tell about an incident that happened when I was in Hawaii to Sergeant First Class Davis.
right.
Davies. Go ahead, Kathy.
There were quite a few times, but I think just starting it off, I mean, I'm a friendly person, and sometimes that friendliness to the, especially when I was a young soldier, you know, as I guess as I grew and matured and understood how things worked, you know, you can't be nice to everybody. You know, I can't be friendly with everybody because certain people are going to take it the wrong way. They're not going to think that I'm just being kind. They're going to think I'm trying to flirt with them, which was hardly ever the case. But in my first duty station at Fort Bliss, like, the very first weekend that we were there, mind you, I'm a little PV2 Cooper, Fort Bliss, Texas, right there on the border with Mexico. And back in the day, you know, the NCO clubs and the officers clubs. And we went across the border. You know, this is when you could just freely go back and forth. Went across the border.
To Juarez?
Yes, to Juarez. And we went across the border, and then after that, we came back, and my first sergeant and my company commander at the time, but I hadn't met them yet, because again, it's the first weekend, I haven't met them. And they start hitting on me and my friends that we're with, and it made for a very uncomfortable situation when we did like in processing that next week, and it was very uncomfortable because these are officers and senior enlisted, and still hard to talk about even after all these years. You know, my neck's all getting red over here. Just again, like, oh, you know, it's okay. You know, nobody's gonna know. No, I'm not gonna tell nobody. You don't have to tell nobody. All of the things. And then running into those same people years later at different duty stations and seeing how far they've progressed. And yeah, so lots of uncomfortable situations, you know, and yeah.
And being in the military, you have to go through those, and you're gonna see the same people.
You are
in the same unit,
especially medical.
Right.
Yeah, you know, it was always that you don't have to tell anybody. I'm not going to tell anybody. And I'm like, but I don't, you know, come on, you can just, you know, do this, yeah.
And then when you act a certain way, they treat you a certain way. You're a bad soldier. You're an irate woman. You're
you know that's one thing where all of your stories are very impactful, and I can relate to your stories because when I was in Hawaii, I was a sexual assault victim advocate. Not saying that the sexual assault that you all did go through sexual assault. Also being the EO for my unit as well. But as I was talking about the story with Sergeant First Class Michelle Davies, as you all have seen my wife, you all know that my
Beautiful,
wife is
beautiful, gorgeous.
very
Yes.
voluptuous. Okay.
Yes.
It happened to be a statement made by an E4 when she was an E6 at PT. And what this E4 said was Staff Sergeant Davies could win the wet t-shirt contest.
I remember
Now,
that.
mind you, this was the time frame where, I was there to pick her up or whatever, and I happened to hear this. So just imagine, you all know the JD. So just imagine how I wanted to react.
Crazy.
And that helped open my eyes to see things. Michelle also told me about a couple of times where, she would tell me about instances where she would feel as if the male chauvinistic people did not, especially at ANOM, where the male soldiers, they would poke their chests out. I'm this, I'm the male chauvinist, I'm blasé, yada yada yada. And to say all of that, we know that there's reasons the Army supposedly implemented things to cut down on this sexual harassment, behavior and everything throughout the military. One quick question, either yes or no. Do you all think that it has the processes and things that have put in place? I see you really shaking your head. Do you all feel that it has been productive?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
Now,
It's only productive
Straightforward
if
answer.
you have someone who is ensuring that these policies are implemented. Like
it's gonna happen.
you can be in a space where women are respected. You can be in a space where women don't have to feel certain kind of ways, but it has to be implemented. Like we were saying earlier, sexual assault doesn't always have to come from a man when you're a woman, or from a woman to a man. I remember my first duty station. Remember, I came in the Army at 17 years old. My first two roommates in Germany were gay. And I was afraid because, I just didn't know what might happen. We were in a bay, and by God, it wasn't me, but she tried to, basically she attacked one of the other girls while she was sleeping. And so, having to deal with those things. And of course, I was in the military, some of you probably more recently than me, but I've been out of the Army now for 30 years. And so I know a lot of things have changed, some for the good, some for the not so good. But anywhere, whether it's on the civilian sector side or whether it's in the military, if you don't have good leadership that we've been talking about, if you don't have people who are implementing and making sure that these policies and guidelines are followed, it doesn't matter if it's been put in place, because there is no one there to ensure that things are not happening or not pushing it under the rug. Remember, we probably were in the military doing the don't ask, don't tell phase. A lot of things were happening. When an incident happened to me in Germany and I went to my adjutant because he was my supervisor, he basically said, "Oh, he was probably just playing with you. I don't think it was serious." I went again and I said, "This has happened, like literally this man was trying to throw me out of a second floor window in the barracks." And he said, "Well, I had a conversation with him and he said he's not going to say anything to you anymore." That was then. Now imagine if that happened now, right? So again, we came up under a leadership where men kind of, I feel, looked out for each other.
Right.
You know, it's a boys thing. He
It's a
didn't mean
man's
it.
world.
Um, uh, he won't do it again. But it's not until either you're physically actually assaulted, or until, you know, you end up in a hospital, end up dead, that someone decides to take what you're saying serious. So again, I think policy, what you're doing, all has a lot to do with the implementation, and if the people in charge are going to enforce. Without that, it's just like you're wasting time.
So,
And I got one more thing to
mhm.
say towards that. Even being out of the Army 11 years, I've been out this year 11 years. I still have soldiers that contact me for certain things because they're going through things. I've had 3 individual soldiers who've committed suicide
Oh,
because of things they've gone through in the military. Um, I've even had I've even had one that they say committed suicide, but we know it wasn't suicide
mhm,
because it was downrange. These are things that happen to women in the military that people are not talking about, which
mhm.
I'm so adamant to speak on. And if we don't make changes now, that it's going to be even more in the future if we don't address the things that are happening now. So,
Mhm.
um, and that's why I was so excited about getting on this podcast because these are topics that need to be discussed. These are things that are happening in our military today, as of weeks ago,
Yeah.
that people are still dealing with on a daily basis. So, when you ask, has it been addressed? I feel it hasn't because we still have the issue. Well, as long as we have one issue, is an issue to me.
Mhm.
So,
So that's all
I
I
got
got to
so
say about that.
the reason I got out the military is because I was on equal opportunity duty 2 times, and I also had gone to the civilian EEO courses too. So I've been trained on all of those on the EEO side as well. Um, my last duty station was the MedCom EOA. So we would go out to all of the hospitals all over, to make an assessment of the climate for all of these things and give the commanders feedback. And every place we went, I just could not believe it. There were not only issues of, sexual harassment, discrimination, the whole 9 yards, but also um, a lot of leadership issues and whatnot.
Yeah.
One of the things that I found that was most troubling was, how everybody says, oh, you can call you can do the hotline, the headquarters DA hotline. Just call the headquarters DA hotline, da da da, and they'll do something. No, that's not the way it works. Because the headquarters DA hotline is not going to do anything but call back to whatever
Unit.
makeup it belongs to. So if it's a medical command issue, they'll call back. If it's ForceCom, they'll call back to ForceCom or whatever, and they'll give them like a timeline to address the issue and give them a response back. So really, you're just sending it back to the same people that the issue is with
Right.
anyway,
Right.
right?
Right.
And it was
Right.
so many things that were wrong, um, and I couldn't. I just felt like I'm a fixer. But I just felt like, you just turn around in a circle. Like, where do you start? How can you fix all of this when it's sergeant majors, sergeants majors who are doing all of these things, and the commanders are turning a blind eye. Commanders are worried about their careers, going up the ladder, and those old time sergeants majors were just running amok. And I can remember a gentleman at headquarters DA saying, Master Reeves, just stay in. I'll send you whatever assignment you want. I don't want to be a part of this army anymore because this army it was messed up. And I couldn't deal with it anymore. I dropped my retirement papers to get out in 6 months. Um, I
And then
didn't
you
feel
have
like
guilt about that. You have guilt about taking your sanity. Um, you have guilt. Should I've gotten out? Maybe I could have been that change. You know what I'm
and that
saying?
was my motto. My thing is be the change that you wish to
Right.
see in the world. And I had always tried to be that. And I was that. I mean, when I tell you, I dug into that job. I put every single thing I had into that job.
But I think as long as commanders don't take programs, I think there is a systemic issue in that commanders have so much that they are required to do. And
Right.
they, that all of the training becomes, just check the box to get it
It is
done.
check the box.
Right. And it's
Hmm.
it's it's how do they enforce and how do they without I mean, we're taught from like basic training for your first duty station that you keep things at the lowest level. So
Right.
they don't ever want to make themselves into to looking bad, and so you've got these commanders that are trying to keep top cover from getting in trouble. And it's just like until you have a commander that actually cares about the
Right.
programs and cares as much about the soldiers and the programs, it's never going to be what it should be, I guess,
What
essentially.
I found out is one of the jobs that I just left in my civilian world. Um, I worked at Forcecom, and a lot of those junior commanders, here they come, they're gun ho, they're ready to take their companies downrange, this, that, and the other, but they don't know anything. And when I tell you they don't know anything, it's scary. But yet they're expected to go lead. Um, they don't know anything at all. And I'm like, how in the
That's
world are you gonna take these soldiers forward and y'all don't know nothing? Where's your NCO? You got to go find somebody because
the
they don't
the
know anything.
command course is what, like 2 weeks, I
I
think.
don't know what it is now, but
They
that's not enough.
it,
It's just not
Hey,
enough. And then you expect them to recognize discrimination and this and that. They don't even know what to do with the vehicles. They don't even know what to do with the soldiers. They don't even know what they do to get ready. They don't know nothing. When I tell you they don't know nothing, they don't know nothing. But what they're worried about is getting that command time. They want
well,
to get that. And their leadership wants to make sure they get that.
And what do you do about being a leader in those positions to where you have soldiers that come to you and be like, hey, sorry, I don't mean no harm, but this NCO did this to me. This NCO approached me this way. And then when you go to the command and try to get those things addressed, it's that good old boy
It
system
is. It is.
or whatever. So how does that make you as a leader? You can't be an effective leader. You can't, and then you go into protect mode. I literally had to take a bat to a guy's house and get his and get his wife, who was my soldier, out of his house because she was being beaten. Like I
Oh
had
wow.
to do that, not the command, but I had to do that.
Oh
So
wow.
it comes to the point to where you're like, okay, if I tell the command this, what are they going to do about it? They're not going to do anything.
No, they're gonna
So I
say
have to
nothing.
take things in my own hands
Hmm.
just to say, okay, I protected my soldier at all costs. So you tell me that.
But people don't take care of their soldiers the way they used to.
Right,
It's an old
right.
school mentality, and that's one thing that I admire about what you just said, because a lot of times people can't even tell you anything about their
about their
soldiers these
soldiers
days. Nothing.
in this
That's an
text
old
message
school.
leadership world.
Correct. And that's all they know. They don't know
Don't even know
anything.
where their soldiers live,
They
how
don't
their
know
soldiers'
nothing.
houses look
Nothing.
like, what their
Nothing.
yards look like. Like,
Nothing.
When you
Nothing.
talk about mentors, Sergeant Major Wrighton out at JBLM, I hated JBLM. I like hands down the worst duty station I
Sergeant
ever
Major
had.
who?
Wrighton,
Writing. Okay.
yeah. I didn't love him, but one thing I did like about him was that he could tell you about and he was the battalion commander. He could tell you all about all the soldiers. When I went to I saw him in the commissary one day, and he was like, "Hey," he was like, "Hi, Deja. Hi, Jordan." I'm like, "Oh shit, you know my kids' names?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know my kids' names?"
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, today
So-
you wouldn't.
So with everything that you all are saying, with that question, regardless of it's going to be on the chain of command to ensure that those policies are enforced. NCOs, when someone comes to you to the NCO, that NCO needs to ensure that it goes up the chain of command with the knowing that it's going to be taken care of. What I hear Andrea and you all saying that, hey, even if you take it to the chain of command, they're going to be the good old boy system where they're going to look out for Billy or Bob or whomever. And with that being
Hold on, my
said,
battery is draining. Hold on.
one of the biggest things that's going to stop it is people are going to have to get punished for doing it. But it's going to take that paradigm shift for the men and male NCOs and soldiers to understand that not to look at their sisters at arms in that way, that like you all are not as intelligent, not as you can't do their job as well as a male can. So, and I say all of that, because it's that question goes a long way. It's like everyone stated that it doesn't work. The system or the things that are in place is not working. And hey, let's be real. Okay, this is my podcast. I'm gonna say what I want to say. If people don't like it, I'm sorry. It starts at the top.
Yep.
It starts at home.
But that too. But what I mean is, it starts at home. That's true.
It starts with the
But in
president, the
military-
Department of War secretary, whatever his position.
There you go.
If you
Okay,
are
but-
actively this man, and I apologize, I'm a very if you've seen
There you go.
see my page, you know what I'm about.
You know what I'm about.
Pete Hegseth, part of the reason that he left the military was because he had accusations of sexual impropriety.
Yes.
How do we have this man that is supposed to
Correct.
take care and safeguard not just women, all of our service members,
Everybody.
and trust that when an issue is brought up, that he's going to care about it?
Why do
Sorry.
we have Navy guys
This
that's
back-
been out in the sea for 250 days with no
Sorry, JD, I didn't mean-
no porting?
Don't worry about it. Hey, we're not gonna go down that rabbit hole.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Hey,
Invite me to that one.
hey, invite me to that one too.
Hey, with that being said, I wanted the podcast to last about 2 hours and 30 minutes. So we're at that 2 hour mark. So there is going to be a part 2 to this discussion. I'm asking you all now to be a part of part 2 of this women's discussion, because there's questions and things that we did not get into that I feel are very pertinent. And as I stated, you all have provided great input on everything. And as I said, for me, I was taught as a 13 Bravo, this, that, and not until I started working with female soldiers that I had to have that paradigm shift. So, and I can speak for myself, and a lot of people, I'm not making any excuses for nobody. Believe me, I'm not going to make any excuses, because we're all soldiers, and when we're shot, we all going to bleed the same. We was taught we were supposed to be taught is one color in the military, and that's green.
Right.
But we all know that it's not like that. So the military is male
Dominated.
dominated. So but Kathy, is there anything else that you wanted to add to that?
No, I'll leave it there. We can pick that back up. I mean, I just say that until, like you said, it starts at the top. It starts from the top down, because unfortunately you can't expect E1, E2 Snuffy to try and convince their leaders to care about their issues, whether it's, hostile work environments or being accosted, sexually, or however. It has to be those senior leaders. And if they don't take the programs seriously, sexual harassment, equal opportunity, if they don't care, then nothing changes. And it breeds more animosity, because if I see that my coworkers are treated differently than I am because I'm a woman, or because whatever, I'm shorter, I'm fatter, whatever, we're not working as efficiently as we can. And I think that at the end of the day, that's what all of the military should be. It's working. We all have a part to play in the puzzle that is the military, regardless of what the MOS is. So let's get together and do it.
And I feel, James, thank you for even bringing this topic to light.
I agree.
And I think it's a great topic for us to talk about also, and that we have an all-female panel is wonderful. I think that's wonderful. Now that we've done this part, I really feel, and I'm not telling you what to do, that some male counterparts need to be in on this discussion, because a lot of them don't know that's
Correct.
how. They don't know that that's how they act. They don't know that women feel this way when they're in leadership. And
they may not have objectively
they might
looked
not
at it.
even
Right.
exactly. And I would love to hear their side
Me
and
too.
what their thoughts are.
Me too.
So would you suggest, this is what I'm going to pose. I know, like I said, I wanted to be a part 2 because there's so many topics that we could drill down and talk about. And I'm trying to have my podcast every 3 weeks.
Right.
So it possibly, this second part of this, let's say I'm gonna let's come back together in 2 weeks. Well, I'll let you all know. I want to come back, and then the third part to this conversation will be where I have former male soldiers come on, and we can have that open dialogue between the male soldiers and the female soldiers to see, their input, and to see how they feel. Because as I stated, for myself, I could honestly state that I had to have that paradigm shift throughout my military.
Right.
I'm sorry that the alcohol talking to me. It was beneficial for me to have that paradigm shift. If I would not have had that paradigm shift, I may have been one of those NCOs that y'all are talking about.
Right.
Let's be real. Let's straight no chaser. By me
Well, you were
having that
willing
paradigm,
to do that, though. You were willing to.
That-
That's what I'm saying.
Which is
You were
what I
willing
appreciate.
that part, and that's something that it goes back to what we was talking about, leadership, mentorship. I had this, I had this one soldier who, she was hard. She was like, ooh, she was one of the ones where I'm like, hey, we're in the motor pool. I'm looking at her do just as much stuff, work just as hard as the males. And I'm like, okay. I've had a staff sergeant who was assaulted, and all of the men in the platoon wanted to go find her ex that did. Why? Because we did not look at her as being a weakling. We did not look at her as being just this female in our unit. This is our sister at home. And I was serving, and we had to be talked out of it because they really wanted to go find this guy. And I'm saying all of that to say that, you know, men in the military, women in the military, as Cooper said, we are all supposed to be the same.
Right.
You know, we're all supposed to work together. No MOS is better than is better than another one in the whole nine. Because if you look at the ball system, we all work together to make things happen. So with that being said, we're gonna have a part 2. But I don't know how many people are watching online on the Facebook, but Michelle and I both put the link to the podcast. So if there's anyone out there who wants to come on and ask the panel any questions, please do so. And please, I hope to have audience participation. So if you would like to come on and ask the question or make a statement, please come on. I know that Sergeant First Class Michelle Davies will probably come on and have something to say. Or probably a Sergeant First Class Sherman Pratt, or someone, James Campbell. Anyone, please come on and I'm begging right now, y'all. I look bad for me begging. I really want some audience interaction with the panel. So
for the next one, I'll set up my TikTok and I'll do a dual live stream. So hopefully, because I would love to be able to include my audience in this. I have I don't want to, I'm not sounding boastful. Please don't ever think that I am.
You got a larger audience. I know it.
No, I don't mean it that way ever. But I do have a very large veteran following, and I know that,
nice.
you know, a lot of them, we talk about when I go live from time to time, we talk about stuff like this. So, yeah.
But shout out to all the female
Everybody.
service members who have served, who have sacrificed their life,
That's
their
right.
time, their efforts. And I really want to take my hats off to them because it's not an easy feat to be a mom, to be a sister, to be a daughter, to be a wife. It's very hard to do that and be a military service member. So hats off to you guys, and just know that you have people out there that root for you every single day, and will always root for you.
Mm-hmm.
I know I will. And if there's anyone out there that has experienced any of the things that we've talked about and still haven't talked about it, then you can come and talk to us.
That's
right.
right.
I'm not speaking for anyone else on this panel, but I'm telling you that if you need someone to talk to, inbox, talk to, whatever. My name is Andrea Borrego. You can inbox me at any time. I will respond. So, yeah, that's all I got.
And you know that there, like I stated, that's one of the topics. Family, how you deal with being a mother in the military, some of the things that you had to go through on the next panel.
That family care plan.
Yes.
Yeah, we have someone who wants to come on. Hopefully they'll ask a question.
Hi there.
Hello, ma'am.
That's
I
my
kind of
girl.
been forced to come on, so
Yay.
I don't really have a question, but I love all of you.
We love you too.
You all have been an important part of my life and my service, but all of you have made me a better person, like in everything. I mean, Kathy freaking gave me a baby shower. I mean, we were family, you know, like that was it. And Borrego, I mean, oh my goodness.
You just sent me back them
together.
pictures from forever ago.
What's that?
I said you just sent me back those pictures from forever ago that I didn't know you had.
Yeah, I mean, Dre, we went everywhere together.
Yeah, I think I followed you around the military. I just wanted to know where you were going, so I just said, okay, send me there.
You were my rock.
Yeah.
Any success I had was because of you.
Whoa. Whoa, time out.
Look at James. Don't get jealous.
Talking about
JD
in
said,
She talking about in her career path.
Dayland, Jay.
She was my rock.
I'm
Like
gonna,
I went with
I'm gonna
you
interject.
with the
In her
baseball
career.
bat.
Because that lady wanted to get out of the army, and I told her not out of getting out. So,
Absolutely. I didn't think
all
you
right
were
then. But anyway, go ahead, baby. The floor is yours.
this is about the women right now. I mean, I went with you knocking on that door. Goodness, you were the rock. You were everything. I mean, any type of leadership skill I had, I mean, that was all you. I mean, Rita, you mentored me. You were my friend. I mean, you gave me so much advice on how to handle situations in the military. And Sylvia, I didn't know you in the military, but you're my sister. Everything now you give me advice in life, so I appreciate all of you. You all are like phenomenal and great ladies to look up to. Anyone that knows you, and each of you knows what value you bring in their life. So thank you for that. I did want to just touch on a story because I did report some assault of a soldier one time. She's no longer here with us, so I felt like I need to tell a little bit about her story. She was being harassed by her NCOIC, and she didn't know how to approach the situation. I found out it was happening because I saw the verbal and almost it was physical, but it wasn't like he didn't touch her, but he flipped her cart over in the warehouse with all her supplies. And so I called her into the office to find out what was going on. Come to find out, it was a whole lot. He was, sexually explicit texts, like he wouldn't leave her alone. And when I told and there was an investigation, I was told, why did I say anything?
Oh my goodness.
It absolutely does happen. I got called in, and James, you remember because I had to stay all night with CID. It was a huge thing, and they basically told me, why did I do that? Why didn't I come to them instead? So
they can sweep it under the rug.
Exactly.
Well, they did, and they did sweep it under the rug.
Oh my God.
They did.
And that's the problem.
And they did. And there was nowhere else to go, though. Like, I went all the way up. It was CID. It was everything.
Right.
All that was involved.
Yep.
Yeah. And unfortunately, like I said, she's no longer here with us. But I felt like I needed to say something in her memory. I love that girl. And, when you see something, you say something. That's what I was always told.
Right.
Yeah.
What was her name?
I don't know if it was Rodriguez.
Okay.
Rodriguez.
And the reason why I asked, because sitting here and it's crazy, my cousin was murdered in Hawaii in the Army. She joined the Army because she was following me. She wanted to do everything I did. We shared the same birthday. However, I was older, and I still have, every time I've moved, I have a card that she sent me saying how much she looked up to me. And she'd had a baby right out of high school, and she was like, I'm going to go to the Army because I think this is going to be best so I can support my child. Love everything you do. So she was stationed in transportation unit in Hawaii. A couple years ago, her daughter got to go back to where her mom died. She was killed in housing by a young man who wanted to pursue a relationship with her.
Oh my goodness.
And she went out on a date with someone else. He had been following him around unbeknownst to him. She came home. Her sister was there living with her to help babysit, and she came in from the date. I dropped her off. He did not go into the house. And he got the soldier who killed her. He gotten into the house through a window and was waiting for her in her bedroom. Her sister, when they did an investigation, she said, I remember hearing some sounds coming from her room, but I just thought she was in her room, they were joking around or whatever. So I never went to see what was going on. Probably luckily she didn't, because he probably would have killed her too. So she fought because my uncle, my Navy uncle, right? He went over and they told him they were able to close and know who did it because she had fought because of all the skin under her fingernails when she was trying to fight this guy back, but he strangled her. And so I'm without a cousin, her daughter is without a mom. And again, because of sexual assault and people with harassment who feel like you're going to do what I want you to do. You're going to be with me. And to my understanding, because my uncle asked me to assist with writing statements, because this guy actually had another girl to lie and say he was with her during that time.
Give an alibi.
Wow.
Right. And so, of course, she ended up going to jail as well, being complicit. So he went to Fort Leavenworth and then was trying to get out of jail. So we had to continue writing letters on why he should not be able to get out of jail. I stopped following it. My uncle passed a few years ago from cancer. And when he passed, I kind of let it go. So whether or not that guy's out of jail at this point, I don't know. But when you were talking about your soldier, that's why I asked who was it, because the incident happened to my cousin in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Sylvia, do you remember what year?
I can go back. I'm sure I have like all the documentation, but I can go back and look at, because if you Google it, it was still popping up on the internet, the story about it.
Wow.
That's rough.
I'm so sorry, Sylvia.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so am I. We still keep you in prayers.
Me too.
That is so that, but this is a topic that's needed. I thank you all for coming on. I was hoping to have more people come on and ask questions, but I guess they're shy. Hopefully, Kathy, the people from your platform will want to come on and ask questions. I don't know what's going on with my people. I don't know what's up with them.
It's Friday night. Maybe they're going out and having a drink.
Right.
You can have a drink at home. You ain't got to go out and have a drink. But
It's too expensive to go out.
But honestly, I would
that,
love to hear more from Kathy on her feelings about the political atmosphere and how it affects
okay. We can do that in a couple of minutes. But hey, I usually would have a question, a mic drop question, and I'm going to ask this of each of you. So I ask that you make it brief, because I'm almost at my 2 hours and 30-minute limit, so I don't want to go over that. And it's pretty much the advice for the next generation. If you will come across a 17, 18-year-old young lady, they're watching and they want to know about joining the military, but they're unsure, what would you say to them?
Can I go first?
Go ahead.
Military was great for me. It taught me discipline. It gave me some of the best friends in my life. I've met friends that are family, because all family is not blood, right? and I think we were trauma bonded a lot during that. But I wouldn't want any woman to go through what I went through. So I would suggest that they not join the military. One, two. There's so many other things that women can do in this life that they can be entrepreneurs. They can without having to serve their country. I'm sorry, I'm not at that point to where I can say yes. I would not want my niece to go into the army. She asks me all the time. Auntie, would you what do you think about the army? And I say, absolutely not. Don't do it because of the things that I know that women have gone through and will go through. I don't want to subject anyone else to that. And if I knew that before I joined the military, I probably wouldn't have joined. So maybe I just have a bad stigma idea about it, but that's what I do.
I got it. Miss Maddox.
That's Dr. You.
Oh, my woo! Hold on.
Get him, girl.
Hold on. I'm sorry.
That's right.
So, Dr. Maddox,
right.
thank you for being on Dr. JD's veranda.
Yeah, right.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you, ladies, and I know we're live, but the military, and I think I've had this for probably all my life, just didn't know. But I got my, my ADHD diagnosis. And I was saying like, okay, I felt myself starting to fidget. And so I was like, I don't even sit in church for 2 hours, but I had to go off camera to kind of, get myself back together. But at any rate, I'm with Andrea. I would not, and especially under this administration, I would not advise any young woman or man to go into the military right now, or I don't know if ever, because how long is it going to take
Right.
to change the course of all of the things that are happening and that's going to come down the pipeline. My experience, again, piggybacking off you, Andrea, we all have our own individual lived experiences.
Right.
Mine were not horribly bad. However, I didn't do 20 plus years. In my 10 years, I will say, most of my 10 years were good years. I'm that person who, because of command, decided this was enough for me, right? What I see going on now, and probably some of the leadership that I experienced, I would not encourage a woman to go in the military. It's too much going on,
Right.
too much to be unsaid, and I don't, fast forward. I remember after getting out, through marriage, one of my nephews became a drill sergeant down at Fort Jackson, and when we went to his graduation, I was surprised at what I saw. That's when people were able to wear dreads because they claimed a religion. They were letting soldiers go home for holiday. If you were in basic training doing a holiday, you got to go home. We know now they have cell phones. When I went to basic training, you had to stand in line at the payphone.
Right.
And if by chance whatever time you were given, you didn't get that opportunity to get your phone call, you just had to wait, right?
They didn't have stress cards, girl.
I see so much where the military has changed. And though we all didn't have the best experiences, I do believe, as I call it, the old army was probably much better than what the experiences young men and women will get today. There is just so much, i.e., Black men are being attacked because they can't get a shaving profile, or if you need a shaving profile, Um, that's something they're saying they're got. And what is a testosterone test, right? What is all of this for? Nobody is doing research. Nobody is studying. So I just feel like if it is the only way you have out and for betterment, I'm not going to say don't do it. But if you have other
That's what
options
I
and
say.
choices, I would definitely say
That's what I say.
no, don't consider.
Right.
Miss Kathy.
Thank you. Absolutely. I echo the sentiments here. I will never regret spending, 20 years. I would give every year back and every dollar back to have no pain. But if it's if it's your last resort, if you don't have anything else, any other way to make it, I say go for it.
Right.
You really can't beat the military. You get 30 days leave. I like to say, I like to say to the people that say socialism won't work in America, we can't have socialism's been alive and well for 250 years. Just look at the military. Healthcare, housing, money for college, food, all of it. But it's a price to pay. And are you willing to pay that price? And if you are going to join, please, if you're a woman, talk to other women.
Right.
Don't, if you have the choice, go find yourself a female recruiter. That was my first experience of inappropriate contact.
Right.
We didn't even touch that. Yeah. So, but yeah, hope that answers the question. I wouldn't suggest it, but if you got to, get yourself a female recruiter, somebody that's going to be honest with you.
Miss Rita.
I'm like the other ladies. I honestly, and I just was talking to one of my friends the other day. I loved my time in the military. I'm thankful for the time that I had in the military. I wouldn't change it. It made me everything that I am and achieved today. But in my heart of hearts, I cannot tell anybody to join the military today. And it is because of this administration, this
Abysmal.
so-called not leadership. There's no leadership. There's no nothing. I could go down the line. It is also one of the reasons why I could not continue civil service, because I disagree with that too. Um, and so I'm not going to be a place where I don't agree. And so I can't tell them. And I will say, just like I said before, if it's your last resort and there's nothing else, nothing else, then do it. But if you're going to do it, you got to be on the grind. You got to get everything you can get, all the college, all the everything, a skill set that's transferable, that kind of thing. And you got to get it fast. And the problem is, a lot of folks say, well, when this administration is over, things are changing. The structure is wrong, and everything has changed within the military, and so I don't see it changing. You can see already the people are just happy to be let out the cage. You can see the attitudes and behaviors have gone. I mean, it took all of a second for them they just been unleashed. And I was at Bragg, and I just watched free fall. Just, you can do whatever. And so it
Pick
is.
them up to the wood line.
It is troublesome to me. So no, I cannot tell anybody to go in the military unless you are pretty much just homeless, don't have no family, don't nothing, and need to ship tomorrow. And I'm just being honest. And then you better go in with to get everything that you need to get. Got to be selfish. Get everything that you need to get.
Right.
So that way you might just need to do one enlistment and done. And I'm serious about that. And I hate to say it because it's not about love of country anymore.
Use it for everything you can.
Everything.
In the
Yeah.
beginning, don't wait.
From the beginning. Don't wait for the moment you walk in. Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, I'm getting texts from some people from someone who wants to join. He was having issues with the link. And Sylvia, I understand if anyone has to drop, you know, I understand. You know, do what you have to do. But like I said, I did want to we are going to continue this conversation. And as I stated, it's people have come on. I've been watching the comments. Sylvia,
We got a question.
our great leader from 512 Quartermaster. At the time, Captain Pickett came on and said deep conversation.
Absolutely.
And it needs to be discussed. So I'm going to bring on this person. She's my homegirl. I don't know how long she did in the Navy, but she had a question. Let's see here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andrea Pierce. I did the
Hello,
Navy
Andrea.
and the Marine Corps. Hello.
Hi.
Thank you all for sharing your information with me. A lot of my questions that I was going to ask during your conversation, you answer. And I volunteer with Gerald TC. Please don't shun me. And we come from a very small town. There's two options: military, college. I've been telling young girls to join the military. They have had successful careers. I am retired. I have a Purple Heart. I've not had one to have like an incident, but I had an incident myself. What I wanted to ask you all, have any of you ever experienced the lay promote? Do you understand what I'm saying?
A delay in getting promoted.
No,
like
lay promotes sex promotion.
like what some of the officers are currently experiencing and they're
Yes.
delaying the promotion.
No, if you have sex with me, you will get promoted.
Okay.
See, that's what they call it now, lay promote.
No.
Wow.
So there's
Never
new,
heard
like
that.
where you were talking about the new terminologies and things of that. That's one of the new terminologies. Lay
Yes,
promote.
I've not experienced it myself, but I have witnessed it downrange.
Well, so
And Michelle
I
knows
think
what I'm talking about.
I think
Yes.
we're all Army. So I guess for us we had to go to promotion boards. I know it's a little
Oh,
different.
we had to do promotion boards. We had to take tests, but
Mhm.
they have a way around
Oh.
where some of these young soldiers, sailors, airmen, the different titles,
Mm.
where they are encouraging them to have sex and they're putting them in officer programs, they're promoting
wow.
them.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Now I've seen it. I haven't. Yeah, I saw.
No, I haven't heard of that.
I've heard of
I saw
it.
a major
Yeah.
in when I was in JBLM where the battalion XO, he was lieutenant colonel. The major was needing a command slot, and it wasn't for her normal. Are they AOCs? AOCs. And she needed a command slot, but there wasn't the availability for her. So he said, "Hey, you do this, and I'll slide you into this dental command slot." That wasn't her AOC though. She was like preventive med, and yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I've experienced it downrange where we had a commander who pretty much said, okay, he only had female officers as his staff. right? Only had female
Right.
officers as his staff and promised him lots of things. And it came out, and he got relieved while we were downrange in front of the whole unit, and all of this stuff came out. And that was one incident where they actually did something about the harassment that was done. First time in my whole military career I ever saw that it was done. So, yeah, I've seen that. Yes, yes, ma'am.
Wow. So, you know, as I have said over and over and over, the topic needs to be discussed. It needs to be brought even more to the forefront. And the question is, how do you stop it? You know, we asked that question before. Has the things that was put in place, is it better? You know, it depends on who you ask. Some people like ask Andrea the first, not Andrea the second. Andrea the first came on and she said that everyone's experiences are different, which is true. So what you ladies experienced through the military, you know, through your time in service is going to be different. But you know, it's always reach one, teach one, each one, teach one, whatever, whichever one you want to use. You know, this has been, in my eyes, it has been very informative. You know, it is not done because we're going to do a part 2 and then possibly a part 3, adding in male soldiers to have the dialogue back and forth. I really want to thank you ladies for coming on. Andrea the second for coming on, asking your question. I really want to get more input and more feedback, more audience participation. I cannot explain to you how blessed I am to have you ladies in my life to care enough about me to come on to share your stories with me. I'm not going to get emotional on camera, but it really means a lot to me. I love everyone on this call, especially Davies. But,
We love you too, James.
yeah,
Love
you know,
you too.
like
But I
said,
want to
it-
encourage you, Mr. Davies. Don't look at how many people that's looking at your podcast right now. God has favor over your life.
Right,
You,
right.
it's gonna grow. It's gonna build. It's gonna get to the point where when you want to go live, it's not gonna be your choice. People gonna be begging you to live stream. You're educating. Continue to educate.
Yep.
We're
thank
gonna
you,
keep you
homegirl.
prayed
This
up.
is
We
just the
love
beginning.
you. This
Yep.
is only the beginning.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. So with that being said, I'm going to send out Kathy. I'm going to try to share this with you so you can put it on your platform. We'll figure that out some way. Once again, I thank you, ladies, and everyone who participated in JD's Veranda. You know, one thing that I will always say, my motto is that most podcasts talk, but here at JD's Veranda, we start conversations. So once again, I want to thank everyone for coming on. The panel, will you still hang on for a second? Everyone have a